Hey, Frank.
How you doing, Bill?
Okay.
I've got you on the right line now. Now, I understand that you've got some big news that we're going to put on the HoloTalk show, especially for students and educators in the Florida area. But I imagine that this is something that could be looked at nationally as well.
Yes, I do. I just came back from Orlando working with a group of approximately 13 communications technology teachers, and we rewrote the communications technology frameworks, and starting next year in the state of Florida, holography will become part of the Florida state standards in communications technology.
Now, this will be something that will be practiced in all the schools then?
Yes, it will. It will be offered in all the high schools through the state of Florida.
The following is a production of Frank DeFreitas and the Internet Webzine of Holography.
Hello, everyone. This is Frank DeFreitas, and welcome to another week of HoloTalk for October 18th, 1999. My guest this week is Pearl John, who is a graduate of the Royal College of Art in London and is currently here in the States running a program at the Columbia Area Career Center in Columbia, Missouri. And with her program, area students have the opportunity to come in and learn about lasers and laser technology, and she puts them on a path to actually having a career in these fields as they continue with their education. So we're going to be talking with Pearl in just a minute, and she also has 3 of her students from the program that will be on the show as well, telling us a little bit about how they got involved with the program and some of the things that they like about the program and lasers and holography. So it's a great show. I have an announcement before we get started, and this is a very significant announcement for holography. Over the summer, I had the opportunity to work with an educator who came up to my lab here in Allentown, Pennsylvania. He's from the Florida area, or in Florida, and we've been working since midsummer on this, and I just got a call on Friday where he told me that this was just adopted. And here's the announcement. The state of Florida is going to put holography into the curriculum for all high schools in the state of Florida beginning with the next school year. Bill was working on the technology committee to make suggestions on how to rewrite the standards for the state, and we worked very hard to get information together that we thought that would be able to push this over the edge and get this pushed through. And Bill was successful in doing this, and I believe, although I'm not quite certain, but I'm close to 100% certain, that this is the first time in the United States that an entire state has mandatory holography program throughout all high schools in the state. And this is from Florida, and we're looking for other states now to follow Florida's lead. And it's a very, very exciting time, not just for me personally and for Bill personally, but for education people all across the country to start looking at this program. It's a program that we put together, basically built on the shoebox holography system. And we just added different things to that program that ties it in with a number of different academic areas. And Bill will be on the show either next week or the week after to tell everyone about how he went about doing this, how he got it pushed through, and what the program's all about. So that announcement is that all high schools in the state of Florida will now be teaching holography beginning with the next school year, and they will be required to do so. So that's fantastic news. All right, let's move on with my interview with Pearl John, and she has 3 of her students with her. This was recorded a few days ago, so I'm going to tag it on the end here. I'm not going to come back on after the show is over, so I will say thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to having you tune in as a guest each and every week here at HoloTalk as we have new topics and new guests to talk about the field that we all know and love, lasers and holography. So here's Pearl.
Hello, this is Frank DeFreitas, and I have Pearl John on the line from the Columbia Area Career Center in Columbia, Missouri. Pearl, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. 2 of my students with me, so I'd like to introduce you to.
Renee Holthauser, doing laser tech.
And I'm Michael Walk. I'm in the Photonics 2 program.
Okay, so we have Renee and Michael with you there.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, Pearl, how about if we start off with you? I was wondering if you could give us a little idea of the type of work that you're doing out there. I assume these are high school or college students?
These are high school students. Renee is a sophomore. Mike is a senior. I teach grades 10 through 12 here. We have a year-long introduction to laser technology program and 2 further years, Photonics 1 and 2, which introduces students to the idea of working as laser technicians.
Mm-hmm.
The courses were set up about 3 or 4 years ago now, and although our Photonics 2 program has only just started, and I've got about 90 students now in Intro to Laser and about 20 students in Photonics 1 and 2. We cover a huge range of applications for lasers in Introduction to Laser Technology. We do things like make holograms and work with laser light shows. We do laser light sculpture here, as well as doing a lot of theory, light theory and how lasers work, and just a general overview of their applications.
Now, your background is from the Royal College of Art.
That's correct. I graduated in '92 as working very much as a visual artist, and I started working in schools from then on as an artist in residence, and did a lot of education along the way, a bit of teaching photography too. But I've been here now for almost 2 years.
And I have a few questions here that I'd like to ask you, and these questions are from a friend of mine who I do work with on occasion. Her name is Michelle Roy, and she's a career development facilitator with the Freelance Group here in Pennsylvania, and they're involved with career and workforce development.
Yeah.
And she was very interested in you being on the show, and she'll be tuning in to listen to this as well. But she'd like to know what kind of career paths for kids in this program do you have?
Right. Well, primarily we're encouraging students to go into the field of laser technology to work as laser technicians. We're articulated with a college in Iowa, a 2-year college in Iowa, which studies laser technology and photonics, and they go out and work in a variety of fields as laser technicians. For our high school students doing Introduction to Laser Technology who don't particularly want to go on to photonics, we just want to give them a general idea of just the sheer number of jobs out there that's related to lasers. I mean, there's telecommunications jobs available working with fiber optic.
Mm-hmm.
That pays very well. But for our more creative students, yes, we want to give them the opportunity to do work with the laser light shows and just do it's a general fun course. So there is a point to it in terms of jobs at the end of the day for those who want to be laser technicians, but generally it's a very hands-on practical arts course.
Mm-hmm.
That just offers students an idea of different fields that they can go into. And there are also things like there's the medical uses of lasers where people have tattoos and wrinkles removed, and there's also there's a whole range of work with lasers and light that students learn about.
Mm-hmm. Another question that she sent in is what kinds of students tend to be interested in this program and those that are good at it? Right.
Well, we get a huge range of students and with different ranges of academic ability too. Because we're a career centre, we get a lot of students who really do want to work practical hands-on courses, and they do better on our courses than they do in some other more academic areas. So students who haven't in the past been successful at more academic subjects do find that they really succeed in laser technology. As for the students who succeed, they have to be interested in problem solving. They have to be interested in working with teams, get on well with each other, and really want to get a job done. So it's a wide range of students. It tends at the moment it tends to be mostly boys who are interested, and so we are working very hard to encourage girls into the field. Renee might want to tell you a little bit later about a Saturday science program that she took part in that introduced her to the course. But so, yeah, different range of abilities we get, but doing holography tends to pull in a wide range of students with a wide range of interests.
Yeah, one of the things that I've noticed over the years running my workshop programs and doing presentations at different science museums is at the larger metropolitan areas, I noticed that the mix between female and male students is about 60-40, where 60% male, 40% female, which is rather high. Compared to the smaller areas like the Allentown, Lehigh Valley area, where I would have to say the male participation is about 90% or higher. So you see a larger percentage of.
I think I've got 9 girls in the course this year, which is an improvement from last year. Right.
What made them develop this program? What was the catalyst that got this program started?
Well, it was a corporation that works in Columbia was doing laser technician training here at the Career Center, and the high schoolers became extremely interested in what the training was going on, and they started to really bug the tutors and the instructors and say, when can we play with lasers? When are we going to be able to do it? And there is such a need nationally for laser technicians that really there aren't enough to go round, and the earlier that we can start training students to work in the field, the better for the industry generally.
Yes.
Because there is such a need for them. A Indian Hills graduate I spoke to yesterday told me that he'd never had to look for a job, that he'd always been headhunted, and that he gets calls every week from companies asking him to go to work for them.
That's fantastic. That's a wonderful program. That's a wonderful program.
Out there.
Yeah. Let's move on for a minute, and we'll get back to you to close out the show, Pearl.
Okay.
Let's move on to Renee.
Okay. And can I just say that I've got another student joined us, Zach Young.
Oh, hello, Zach.
Wanting to say something later.
Okay.
Anyway, here's Renee.
Hi.
Hi, Renee. How are you?
I'm fine.
First, I'd like to find out what was the initial interest that you had to take this program in the first place?
Well, I joined a thing called Saturday Scientist during my 9th grade year as a freshman, and what it was is going to 3 different places, 3 different Saturdays, and one was to the Career Center to make a hologram.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I did it, it was really interesting, and once I watched the videos, I got really intrigued to do it. So at that point, I changed my entire schedule to make me be in laser technology.
What type of a hologram did you make?
There I made a hologram of a silver dollar, the back of a silver dollar, with my 2 initials that were of metal. They were little keychain little things at each corner.
Don't try and spend that, because I think that's against the law. Don't put that in any pop machines or soda machines. Did you have any problems? What were some of the problems that you had working with holography that you could tell us about?
Some of the problems was when I went to Saturday Scientist, we used different tables. We used air tables, but for our laser in the class, we used sand tables, and I didn't know that they would move more. And so I had movement in my hologram because my plate was not firm enough in the plate holder, and so it left some black splotches on my hologram this time.
But that's a learning process. You learn something from that, right?
Yeah.
So you think holography is pretty neat, right?
Yes, it's very interesting.
Any future plans that you'd like to share with us on where you picture yourself being in, say, maybe 5 years, or maybe even looking far ahead into the future, 10 years?
Well, I plan on going to college, and I'm not sure if I'm going to do a 2-year college for just technology or if I'm going to go to a 4-year college because I want to play softball, but I also want to be a laser technician. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do there, but I'm really planning on being a laser technician and work with holograms a lot.
Fantastic. Well, I wish you a lot of luck.
Thank you.
Can we move on to Mike Walk?
Yes.
How are you, Mike? You're a Photonics 2 student. Is that correct?
Photonics 2.
Yes. And I imagine you're working with some advanced techniques such as non-destructive testing as well?
Actually, that's what my semester paper is going to be on.
Mm-hmm. What type of holograms have you made so far in the program?
In the program, I've made split beam white light reflection, split beam transmission, and single white light reflection.
Mm-hmm. There's an excellent page from Norway that 2 Norway holographers have put up. Obviously, if it's in Norway, it's Norway holographers. Excellent page on single beam holography and different techniques that they've worked out over there. So if you get a chance to log on to my website to listen to this show, go to the link page and you'll see a link for that site in Norway, and you'll see some very interesting single beam setups where you can take the single beam, use part of it for the plate, and also part of it for the object beam as well. Where do you plan on going with the education that you're receiving in this program?
Right after high school, I'm going to take a break, and I'm going to go to a Christian college for a year, get a 1-year Bible knowledge certificate. Then I'm going to go up north to Indian Hills, where I plan to go, and take the associate's degree that they offer.
And you eventually want to work as a laser technician?
Yes.
Okay. Working with the bigger lasers, I imagine, or working with the smaller diodes?
Whatever's offered at the time.
Whatever's offered. There you go. That's what you need to do. Take whatever comes down the pike. That's for sure.
I'd like to tell you a little bit more about his project because it's rather fascinating.
Yeah, why don't you tell us about that?
Well, I'm testing carabiners, which are used in rock climbing, some high-angle caving, and some rescue work.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm testing them to determine the physical point on the carabiner on where they'll break.
Oh, yes.
And also if there's a designated breaking point, as in weight, that I can predict using interferometry.
Yes.
And then also, as a side note, I'm hoping to be able to determine if there's a given parameter, if the carabiner testing exceeds it, if the carabiner should be retired, or if it should stay in service.
Yes. Well, I have another question for you. Why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about what an interferometer is and how it's set up and how you do the process?
Well, I started out with single beam white light reflection hologram setup, and I calculated the exposure time, and I cut the exposure time in half, and I exposed the plate for that half time.
Okay.
And then I blocked the beam, and I changed the object by putting a few grams of stress on it.
Okay.
Then I finished up the exposure time, and I developed the hologram, and it gave me horizontal interference banding because it was stretched along a vertical axis.
Yes. That seems like a very simple process to do. And would you recommend that as a process for other students out there if they happen to have their own home studio as well?
Yeah, if they have the testing equipment available.
Yeah. Okay, well, it sounds very interesting, Mike, and I want to wish you a lot of luck.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to add before you go?
Just that the instructors have pressed safety as the #1 concern in the class.
Working with our 30 milliwatt laser here, so he knows about safety.
Pearl, I want to get back to you with a question, and move a little bit closer to the phone.
Okay.
How do you deal with the chemistry as far as safety?
Chemistry supplied by TJ, Professor Young at Lake Forest College, and he provides film that is school-safe via a company called Intergraph.
Yes.
I'd like to do some research into this, but I'm not particularly comfortable with flushing any of the chemicals down the system. So if anybody's out there is looking for more ecologically sound ways to deal with that, I would be very interested in finding out.
Yes, because I imagine I haven't come across any chemistry yet in holography or photography that wasn't toxic.
Right.
You know, I mean, there are some chemicals that are a little bit...
It does provide something that's termed school safe, so that's what we're using. But yeah, it's an issue.
I remember working many, many years ago with mercuric chloride for bleach and parabenzoquinone and some of those other things, and it's gotten a lot better, but it's still a concern for many educators out there when they have students in the darkroom mixing and working with the chemistry. So I just wanted to get some of your feedback.
One concern is that we do seem to have quite a few students who have sulfur allergies.
Mm-hmm.
And the students put on gloves and glasses when they do any work in the dark room, just to prevent problems, because you can get very nasty rashes if you have an allergy to sulfur.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an ongoing process, finding more suitable chemistry. Like I said, I'd be very welcome to hear any suggestions for alternatives to flushing the whole lot down the sink.
Yeah. Now you have Zach Young with you.
Yes, I do.
Just walked through the door a few minutes ago.
Yes, he did. He's down the office. You want to say hello, Zach?
Hello.
Hello, Zach. Just make sure that you come up close to the phone and speak loudly and clearly, which I instructed everyone to do before you were there, so I'll repeat those instructions now for you.
Okay.
Why don't you tell us what grade you're in to start off, because I don't think we had an introduction of you in the beginning.
Well, I'm in 10th grade.
Okay. What made you decide to get involved with this holography program?
My dad, he kind of wanted me to take it, and I thought it would be fun, so that's why I decided to do it.
Zach's dad's a sculptor.
Oh, his dad is. Okay. Are you a chip off the old block?
I guess so.
Okay. What are some of your future plans? What do you hope to get out of the program?
Well, I'm not sure yet, but I hope to find out soon.
Okay. What have you gotten out of the program so far?
Well, I like it a lot. I think it's very fun.
What did you make a hologram of?
I made a hologram of a necklace that I had. It was a dragon.
Mm-hmm. Pewter? Is that what it was?
I think so.
Yeah, pewter works really well with holography for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever notice that?
Yeah.
It's not the brightest material.
I've noticed. People have brought in little pewter figures.
Yeah.
Star Wars figures, I think, this year.
Yeah. Yeah, Star Wars was really hot this year. It died out quick, though.
Yeah.
And everything on the shelf died out with it. You know, there's so much stuff left on the shelf discounted.
Mm-hmm.
Pearl, I want to get a little information from you about your changeover and your recent interest in laser diodes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I was fascinated to find out that you could make holograms with laser pointers. Everybody had been asking that for ages,
yes.
And I'd just been told that no, they're unsuitable for making holograms. Coherence length's no good. Multi-mode problems, and then I heard that no problem. People had started making holograms with them, and in terms of education, that is just going to make such a big difference as to what science teachers can do in the classroom to introduce students to light theory. When I started making holograms in my parents' garage when I was sort of 10th, 11th grade, it would have been so much easier for me if I just only had to purchase a laser pointer rather than beg, borrow, and steal equipment from schools and colleges in order to try and make them. So I think it's going to, it's making holography so much more accessible. I think it's fantastic. It's a great discovery, and I'm so pleased that the people who have been working on it have come up with that.
Have you seen Jeff Blythe's new paper on making your own holographic plates?
No, I haven't, but Jeff was one of my teachers at the Royal College of Art, and he just started to develop those plates while I was there. Yeah. And I never got a chance to shoot one. Yeah. But did have a go at spinning the emulsional plates. So I haven't yet checked up his latest information, will do so, and I'm going to try and get some of my students working on making their own plates by the end of the year.
Yeah, if you can make it to my site by the end of the week, I have the actual published paper and the worksheet there as well. So now we have lasers that you can buy for $10 and make your own plates.
That's incredible.
Because everything else had, once we had the laser diodes, everything else was pretty much inexpensive except for the recording materials.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's...
what I'd like to see now is cheaper collimating mirrors. I don't know whether there are any cheap places out there, but once the students have done, we work on sort of 2.5 by 2.5 inch plates, which luckily Intergraph are now selling in small boxes, which makes it affordable again.
Yeah.
But we want to make large holograms here, and we haven't got any bigger than sort of 6 by 8 size wise. So that's what we're going to be. 16 centimeters. So we want to get larger. There is a possibility, fingers crossed, that we will be getting a pulse laser in here at some stage too. So that's what we're working at now, getting larger equipment. We have some fantastic tables that we're working on now. We've got Newport tables. I think it's 8 foot by 5-6 foot table.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So
Beautiful.
We've got fantastic equipment.
8 by 5 foot Newport table with a laser pointer on it. Is someone whispering? I hear somebody whispering in the left ear of my headphone.
Oh.
We were talking about the Newport table.
Oh, okay. How about if we go around the room one time and Renee, are you still there?
Yeah.
What I'd like to ask you one more time, you thought you were finished, didn't you?
No.
What I'd like to do is ask you to maybe give some advice to other students who are out there, and particularly female students who may be interested in getting involved in the field of high technology and lasers. They may be in school, they may go out and see a hologram and find it fascinating. Any advice or tips that you would give to them?
One thing about being a girl in the class is that you really don't, people would think that you get harassed and stuff, and you really don't. The guys usually, they just kind of treat you like they're one of them, and you just have fun with it and get to know everyone in the class so you're happy, with being in that class, and no one really bugs you about it or anything, because I have 2 other girls in my class, and we're fine. We stick together a lot of the times, so it's really fun and interesting. So if you're a girl and you're just thinking, oh gosh, there's no girls in there, it's real easy to get along with guys. So it's all right.
That's good. I have 3 daughters myself, so I get concerned on those issues as well. My oldest daughter's a physics major, and she finds herself pretty much in a male-dominated environment quite a few times. So
what we try and do is have the girls meet at least once a quarter, so that they can talk about anything that they want to talk about. They've got each other's email addresses. We serve about 6 different schools here, so the girls in the classes may not even be from the same school, but they contact each other, and we talk about any issues that might come up with relation to working in a non-traditional environment. But at the end of the day, the new technologies are great places to get jobs. They're highly paid in comparison to traditional women's jobs, and at the end of the day, working at what you want to do and being well paid is about as well as anybody could do.
Now, your program seems like a very well-balanced program because you stress art as well as technology, don't you?
Yeah, try to. That's my background. Yeah. The intro is we try to make it as creative as possible, and although we do serve students with science interests and arts interests, it's useful for the scientists and the artists learn a lot from each other, I think, in terms of problem solving and just general ways of thinking.
Yes.
They're not too diverse a group at this age either. There are lots of people who are interested in arts and music as well as sciences.
And you're building skills that are very valuable for later in life, because they will have to deal with people with all types of interests and things of that nature when they're out in the workforce as well.
And all different ways of thinking are equally valuable.
Yes. Mike?
Yes.
Any final comments that you'd like to throw out there to perhaps another student who may be sitting in his bedroom listening to this show right now thinking lasers are really cool?
Well, if you can find somebody to help guide you, pursue it.
Zach, how about you?
I feel the same way.
Okay. Do any of you three, Renee, Zach, or Mike, feel that you would be able to leave this program and go out and just start doing this on your own?
Nope.
Not supposed to say that.
Yeah, that's sort of a trick question, isn't
Well,
it?
I don't know that much about it. I just know about holography. So if someone asked me about a single beam, I'd be okay there. I could teach someone that, because I had to help a lot of the times with the developing and stuff in class, because I had done it before. But if it was anything else, I probably wouldn't know, because I've only been in it from the beginning of this year. So
Come out to first course.
no way.
I would prefer to have more education, but I feel that I could probably hold my own if I was asked.
Yeah. Pearl, any closing comments or anything you'd like to add? Maybe there's something that you would like to talk about that I didn't touch on before we go?
No, just I would encourage girls out there to look at the field of working with lasers, and also just to say a thank you to you. I think we really enjoy looking at your website. It's a great source of information, and we thoroughly appreciate that. And thank you for calling us today.
Sure. Thank you all for being on the show.
You're welcome.
It's going to be a great show, and I hope it's an inspiration to students everywhere to come on and listen to you talk about your involvement with the program. And Pearl, it's a wonderful program. I've been doing programs for more years than I care to remember, and I think yours is very unique, and it really is providing a valuable service, and it shows the holography community in a very positive light.
Right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.